Okay, so the next hand is an interesting one. I can remember when I first started playing MTTs, there was just no consideration to ever flat ace king. It was just not something you ever did. But you can see here we're very deep, and there's a UTG raise. We have ace king, and the decision's made to flat it. I'm not a huge. I don't hate it at all. I still think we should probably get it in with ace king in almost any tournament. This one might be an exception because we probably have an edge and whatever. But I still think 3-betting ace king isn't horrible. And I still think 3-betting ace king even versus a UTG open, a UTG min raise is fine. Just to steal it. I think there was other times in the tournament we were 3-betting weaker hands, trying to steal blinds, and I just think that you need to mix up your ranges here. And it's a tough hand to play. I think the other thing, too, about flatting a min raise is you're going to encourage the big blind in. It's going to make the hand very difficult to play. I think the big key is that if we do choose to play ace-king or flat with it, that we're ready to let it go and ready not to go crazy with it and ready to realize that we basically slow played a big hand and it's not going to hit all the time, obviously. So you can see that the big blind does call. There's 11,000 in the pot. It's a fairly decent pot. Again, the flop's pretty good for us. I talked about my gutters and my backdoor flush draws and stuff, but we flop a gutter, 2 overs to the board, and a backdoor flush draw, and I think it's a pretty good flop for us. And it checks us, and we choose to bet, which I don't. It's not that I don't like it. I just think that we're trying to get our hand to tell a story, and so part of the problem is we're facing 2 villains, and you can pretty much guess that one of these 2 guys either hit the board, hit part of the board, has a 10 in their hand, has 2 clubs in their hand, flopped the world. Like something happened with these 2 villains, and I just, I think betting sometimes on a wet board like that, you're not going to take down the pot very often. So you can see they both call, which kind of makes you wonder, what are they both calling with? I think a 10 in their hand is a likely holding. And like I said, some kind of draw. An 8 on the outside shot too, like some kind of 8-9 type hand and stuff. But the 3 is the brickiest of brick cards that you could ever hit. And I think part of our problem is that sometimes we bet on the flop trying to steal, and we just lose our guts on the turn. We just don't want to barrel that turn. And I think there's certain times, if the turn was the 9 of clubs, I definitely wouldn't want to be barreling this turn. If the turn was a jack or an 8, I definitely wouldn't want to barrel. If the turn was a 10, if the turn was a 10, we make the nuts. I think I'd probably barrel. But there's just a lot of hands that it could be, and I just want to be really careful with what I'm barreling, what I'm not barreling. The 3 diamonds is a pretty safe card, though, and I think if we're trying to tell a story that we had a hand on the flop, I definitely think we want to tell the same story on the turn. Unfortunately, we choose to check the turn, and it's not a huge error. I'm not a fan of the mixture of this hand with the flatting pre and then the betting on the flop. If you would just check the flop and check the turn, that's fine too. I don't hate it. I just think once you start putting more money in the pot, now you have 3,000, now you have 5,000, you have 8,000 in. I think betting another 8,000 or 9,000 on the turn makes sense just to try to get your chips back. And I think it's going to be tough for these 2 villains to call anything but something, and I don't think they're slow playing. The board's way too wet for them to be slow playing. Now, they could have something like ace-jack or king-jack or something, and they're just worried about it. The thing about having ace-jack or king-jack is you have an ace and a king, so all those combinations are pretty unlikely. Ace-queen's unlikely, I think, because I think they're going to bet at some point. It's possible that the big blind has ace-queen, but I think they kind of had a jamming type stack, like a 20 big blind stack. So I just think that it's probably okay to bet the turn. Now again, on the river, we're basically just giving up on the hand. I can almost guarantee you when you check here, you're never going to win. It's almost impossible to win here. Someone's going to have something that they're going to win with. And you'll see, I gave my analysis of seeing the hands, or like I knew the results of the hand, but I had started picking on it already. As soon as I saw the flat with ace-king, I was saying to myself, well, we're going to put ourselves in a risky spot. But again, like I said, it's not a terrible play. I don't mind it. I just think you have to be really wary about having a proper flow through your hand and knowing where you're at in these hands.